Your mornings contain far more creative power than most people realize. In the brief moments after waking, before messages, responsibilities, and old habits reclaim your attention, your mind is unusually open and receptive. Rather than simply carrying yesterday into today, you are standing at the beginning of a completely new experience. Every sunrise offers an invitation to consciously choose the version of yourself you want to embody. You decide whether you will meet the day with confidence or hesitation, gratitude or frustration, peace or anxiety. Although external circumstances may seem to determine your future, your internal state quietly shapes how you interpret every event, recognize every opportunity, and respond to every challenge. A calm and focused mind notices possibilities that a stressed mind overlooks. When you begin the day believing that life is unfolding in your favor, your perspective naturally shifts toward hope, purpose, and meaningful action. The emotional tone established in these first moments often echoes throughout the entire day, influencing conversations, decisions, relationships, and the opportunities you attract. The thoughts you repeatedly entertain each morning are much more than passing mental activity. They become the foundation upon which your daily experience is built. Every thought plants a seed within your subconscious mind, and those seeds gradually grow into emotions. Those emotions influence your choices, your habits, your reactions, and eventually the results that define your life. This is why imagination is such a powerful creative force. Every vivid mental picture you return to, every feeling you intentionally cultivate, and every identity you consistently accept becomes part of the blueprint your mind follows. Before your feet even touch the floor, taking a single deep breath and asking yourself, "Who am I choosing to be today?" can transform the direction of your entire day. The answer is not merely motivational. It becomes an instruction that shapes how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you solve problems, and how you interpret the experiences that follow. Instead of reacting to life by default, you begin creating your reality with deliberate intention. Choosing peace, trust, and inner alignment each morning also changes the way you interact with uncertainty. Rather than waking with pressure, urgency, or fear, you first reconnect with a quiet sense of stability within yourself. In that stillness, mental noise begins to fade and clarity naturally emerges. You no longer feel compelled to force every outcome or control every situation because you develop confidence that life is unfolding according to a larger pattern, even when immediate evidence is absent. This quiet certainty is not blind optimism. It is an inner conviction that remains steady regardless of temporary circumstances. Challenges may still appear, but they lose much of their emotional power because you stop reacting from panic and begin responding with wisdom. Your intuition becomes easier to hear, gently guiding your decisions without confusion or fear. As this inner foundation strengthens, your words become more thoughtful, your actions more intentional, your relationships more balanced, and your daily experiences begin reflecting the stability you have cultivated within yourself. The deeper principle behind this process is remarkably simple, yet profoundly transformative. Every external experience begins with an internal pattern. Your awareness shapes your beliefs generate emotional habits, your emotions influence your actions, and your repeated actions create the life you eventually experience. By changing the starting point of that sequence, you gradually change everything that follows. Instead of blaming circumstances for how you feel, you begin taking responsibility for the meaning you assign to every experience. Even uncertainty starts looking like an opportunity for growth instead of a threat. Each morning becomes a blank canvas waiting for your first deliberate brushstrokes. If you begin with fear and worry, those emotions often color the rest of the day. But when you consciously choose confidence, gratitude, clarity, and inner peace, those qualities naturally spread into every interaction and decision you make. Through consistent practice, life stops feeling random or chaotic. You become an active participant in shaping your experience, discovering that the quality of your thoughts, emotions, and conscious choices influences not only how you feel, but also the reality you steadily create around yourself. With consistent practice, life gradually stops feeling random or controlled by outside circumstances. Instead of reacting to whatever happens around you, you begin taking an active role in shaping your daily experience through the quality of your thoughts, emotions, and conscious decisions. Modern neuroscience provides an interesting perspective on why the morning is such a powerful time for this process. Shortly after waking, the brain naturally spends time in slower alpha and theta brainwave states, conditions associated with relaxation, creativity, and increased receptivity. During this period, communication between the conscious and subconscious mind becomes more fluid, allowing new ideas, beliefs, and emotional patterns to be absorbed more easily. Rather than fading away, the thoughts and emotions you repeatedly experience during these early moments become part of the mental framework that influences your perception, reactions, and behavior throughout the rest of the day. In many ways, the first few minutes after waking act like the opening chapter of your day, quietly establishing the emotional and psychological direction that everything else tends to follow. Your brain is constantly filtering reality through the beliefs you already hold. Every second, it receives far more information than it could ever consciously process. So it automatically selects what appears most relevant based on your existing expectations and emotional state. If you begin the morning feeling anxious, discouraged, or overwhelmed, your mind naturally notices situations that seem to confirm those feelings, reinforcing the belief that life is difficult or unpredictable. On the other hand, when you start the day with confidence, gratitude, or calm expectation, your attention shifts toward opportunities, supportive interactions, and solutions that may have gone unnoticed before. The external world may remain exactly the same, but your experience of it changes because the filter through which you interpret reality has changed. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Your beliefs shape your perception strengthens those beliefs, and the cycle continues day after day until you consciously choose to interrupt it with new patterns of thought and feeling. Emotions play an equally important role in shaping your reality because they influence nearly every aspect of your daily life. The way you communicate with others, the confidence behind your decisions, your willingness to take healthy risks, and even the opportunities you recognize are all affected by your emotional state. When you deliberately cultivate feelings of peace, confidence, gratitude, and inner security each morning, you are not pretending that problems do not exist. Instead, you are creating an internal environment that allows you to respond with greater clarity, patience, and wisdom. Research in psychology has long suggested that much of human behavior operates automatically through subconscious habits formed over years of repetition. These deeply rooted patterns quietly guide emotional reactions, routines, and decision making without requiring. When your day begins from a place of inner stillness, the quality of everything that follows begins to change. Instead of reacting impulsively to every inconvenience or emotional trigger, you develop the ability to pause, observe, and respond with intention. Situations that once felt overwhelming gradually lose their power because your peace is no longer dependent on external conditions. Pressure still exists, but it no longer controls you. Each conversation becomes more thoughtful, each decision more deliberate, and every action more closely aligned with the person you are consciously choosing to become. This quiet inner stability creates a foundation that supports every area of life, allowing you to move through the day with greater clarity, patience, and confidence, rather than being pulled in different directions by circumstances beyond your control. Many people believe achievement requires constant struggle, endless effort, and relentless control. They assume that if they simply push harder, work longer, and force every situation to unfold according to their plans, success will eventually follow. Yet this approach often leaves them exhausted because it is driven by an underlying belief that something essential is missing. A different approach begins when you shift from constantly chasing to consciously receiving. Receiving does not mean becoming passive or avoiding responsibility. It means taking meaningful action from a place of confidence instead of desperation, and allowing your efforts to be guided by trust rather than fear. When your inner state changes from scarcity to abundance, your thinking becomes clearer, your energy feels lighter, and opportunities seem to appear with greater frequency. In reality, those opportunities may have always existed, but you are finally open enough to recognize them. By releasing resistance and meeting each day with curiosity, flexibility, and quiet confidence, life begins to feel less like an endless battle and more like a partnership in which your actions flow naturally with the opportunities before you. The first moments of every morning offer the ideal opportunity to establish this mindset before the outside world begins shaping your attention. The words you repeatedly speak to yourself become instructions for your subconscious mind, especially when they are supported by genuine emotion rather than empty repetition. Affirmations are not magical phrases, they are reminders of the identity you are intentionally building. Speaking statements such as, "Today I move through life with calm confidence. My mind is clear and focused. I welcome new opportunities with gratitude," or "Everything I need is unfolding at the right time," becomes meaningful only when you pause long enough to truly experience those feelings. As your thoughts, emotions, and imagination begin working together, your identity slowly changes. You no longer act confident because you are trying to convince yourself. Instead, confidence becomes part of who you are. Your decisions improve, your habits require less effort, and many of the outcomes you once struggled to achieve begin emerging more naturally because your behavior is finally aligned with your inner beliefs. Real transformation is rarely the result of one extraordinary morning. It is the product of countless ordinary mornings in which you repeatedly choose peace over fear, clarity over confusion, and confidence over self-doubt. Every time you return to your chosen emotional state, even when circumstances tempt you to react differently, you strengthen new patterns within your mind. Many people abandon personal growth because they expect immediate external results. But lasting change has always depended on patient repetition rather than temporary motivation. Some mornings will feel inspiring while others may feel difficult or emotionally heavy. Those challenging mornings are often the most valuable because choosing your desired state despite uncomfortable emotions builds genuine resilience. Over time, confidence no longer requires conscious effort. Peace becomes familiar instead of unusual. The beliefs you once repeated as affirmations become automatic ways of thinking, and the habits that once required discipline begin flowing naturally. Eventually, you are no longer trying to become a different person, you have become one. Success is no longer something you chase through constant struggle. It becomes the natural expression of the identity you have patiently cultivated. Lasting change is built on this simple truth. Your identity forms the foundation of every thought, every decision, every habit, and ultimately every result you experience in life. Identity is the foundation upon which every lasting transformation is built. While goals provide direction and habits create momentum, identity determines whether those goals and habits become a permanent part of your life or remain temporary efforts. Many people try to change by focusing only on what they want to achieve, but true change begins by asking a far more important question. Who am I becoming? Every decision you make either strengthens your current identity or reinforces a new one. When you consistently think, speak, and act as the person you aspire to become, your subconscious gradually accepts that identity as familiar and true. Eventually, your behaviors stop feeling forced because they naturally flow from the person you believe yourself to be. You no longer practice confidence, you become confident. You no longer struggle to remain peaceful, you become someone for whom peace is a natural way of living. This shift in identity influences every area of your life. Your relationships begin changing because you communicate differently. Your work improves because you approach challenges with greater confidence and patience. Your health benefits because your daily choices become aligned with the respect you have for yourself. Even your response to setbacks transforms. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that you are failing, you recognize them as opportunities to reinforce the person you have decided to become. Temporary disappointments no longer define your future because your identity is no longer dependent upon immediate results. You understand that every experience, whether pleasant or difficult, offers another opportunity to strengthen the qualities you value most. As this perspective grows, resilience replaces frustration, and consistency replaces emotional extremes. One of the greatest misunderstandings about personal growth is the belief that confidence, happiness, or success will eventually create a stronger identity. In reality, the opposite is often true. Your identity shapes your actions first, and those actions gradually produce the results you seek. If you continue identifying as someone who is unlucky, unworthy, or incapable, your subconscious will quietly encourage choices that reinforce those beliefs. But when you begin identifying as someone who is calm, capable, disciplined, and deserving of meaningful opportunities, your mind naturally searches for behaviors that support that self-image. This is why lasting transformation is never simply about changing what you do. It is about changing the story you consistently tell yourself about who you are. Once that inner story changes, your external behavior follows with far less resistance than before. Every morning gives you another opportunity to strengthen this new identity before the world begins influencing your thoughts. Rather than immediately remembering yesterday's disappointments or worrying about today's responsibilities, spend a few quiet moments reconnecting with the person you have chosen to become. Visualize yourself responding calmly to challenges, speaking with confidence, treating others with kindness, and making decisions from clarity rather than fear. Feel those qualities as though they already belong to you, because each time you do, you reinforce them within your subconscious. Over weeks and months, these small daily moments accumulate into profound personal change. Your thoughts become more constructive, your emotional reactions become more balanced, and your actions begin reflecting your highest values without constant effort. Ultimately, the life you experience is not determined by isolated moments of inspiration, but by the identity you consistently embody. Every belief you reinforce, every emotion you repeatedly cultivate, and every conscious choice you make becomes another brick in the foundation of your future. You are not defined by your past mistakes, your current circumstances, or the limitations you once accepted as permanent. Each new day offers another opportunity to choose a higher state of awareness, a stronger identity, and a more intentional way of living. As you continue practicing these principles with patience and consistency, you gradually discover that transformation is not something waiting for you in the future. It is something unfolding within you, one thought, one decision, and one morning at a time. The person you become is created not through a single dramatic breakthrough, but through countless quiet moments in which you repeatedly choose the life you wish to live before the world gives you any visible reason to believe it is possible. The most profound realization is this: you are never truly waiting for the future. You are constantly creating it through the state of consciousness you repeatedly occupy. Every thought you welcome, every emotion you nurture, and every belief you continue to accept becomes part of the invisible blueprint from which tomorrow quietly unfolds. Long before circumstances begin to change, something much more important changes within you. Your reactions soften, your confidence grows steadier, your expectations become healthier. You stop measuring your progress solely by external evidence and begin noticing the deeper transformation taking place in your character. That inner evolution becomes the foundation upon which every lasting achievement is eventually built. This is why patience is not simply a virtue. It is an essential part of the creative process. Nature never rushes the growth of a tree, yet every day unseen changes are taking place beneath the surface. Strong roots develop long before branches reach toward the sky. In much the same way, your inner life is constantly developing, even when visible results seem delayed. Every morning you choose faith over fear, gratitude over frustration, and peace over anxiety. You strengthen roots that will eventually support a completely different life. The absence of immediate evidence is not proof that nothing is happening. Many of the most important transformations occur quietly, beyond the reach of your physical senses, until one day they become impossible to ignore. As your identity continues to evolve, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop searching for constant validation because your confidence no longer depends upon the opinions of others. Praise becomes appreciated but no longer necessary. Criticism becomes information rather than a personal attack. You stop comparing your journey with someone else's timeline because you recognize that every individual is unfolding according to their own unique path. the need to compete slowly dissolves, replaced by a quiet confidence that your greatest responsibility is simply to become the fullest expression of your own potential. This freedom creates extraordinary peace because your worth is no longer determined by temporary success or failure, but by the integrity with which you live each day. You also begin recognizing that challenges are no longer interruptions to your growth, they become part of it. Every obstacle offers an opportunity to practice the emotional state you have chosen to cultivate. Difficult conversations become opportunities to remain patient. Uncertainty becomes an invitation to deepen your trust. Disappointment becomes a chance to strengthen resilience instead of surrendering to discouragement. Rather than asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you naturally begin asking, "Who is this experience helping me become?" That single shift transforms adversity from an enemy into a teacher. Life itself becomes a classroom where every experience contributes to your evolution. There comes a point where your daily practices no longer feel like exercises in self-improvement. They simply become expressions of who you are. Gratitude is no longer something you force yourself to remember. It becomes your natural perspective. Kindness becomes effortless because it reflects your character. Confidence becomes quiet rather than loud because it no longer seeks attention. Peace becomes your default response because your inner foundation is no longer shaken by every changing circumstance. The person you once hoped to become gradually becomes the person you naturally wake up as each morning. This is the deeper meaning behind consciously beginning each day. You are not attempting to manipulate the universe or control every outcome. You are preparing yourself to meet life from your highest level of awareness. The external world will continue presenting unexpected opportunities, difficult moments, joyful surprises, and unforeseen challenges. Those events are inevitable. What changes is the version of you that experiences them. The stronger your inner foundation becomes, the less your peace depends upon external conditions. You begin carrying stability into unstable situations, hope into uncertain moments, and clarity into confusion. Instead of being shaped by life, you increasingly become someone who shapes life through the quality of your presence. Remember that transformation is rarely dramatic while it is happening. It often feels ordinary, almost invisible. One peaceful morning may seem insignificant. One moment of choosing forgiveness instead of resentment may appear small. One decision to trust yourself rather than your fears may not seem life-changing. Yet these quiet moments accumulate. They reshape your subconscious, redefine your identity, and gradually alter the direction of your entire future. Years from now, you may look back and realize that the greatest turning point in your life was not a single extraordinary event, but the simple decision to begin each morning with intention, awareness, and unwavering faith in the person you are becoming. So when tomorrow arrives and you open your eyes to another new beginning, remember that you are not merely waking up to another day. You are waking up to another opportunity to choose your state, strengthen your identity, and consciously create the life you wish to experience. The future is not waiting somewhere ahead of you. It is quietly being formed within you. One peaceful morning, one deliberate thought, one courageous choice, and one faithful step at a time. Every sunrise is an invitation to begin again, and every beginning carries within it the possibility of an entirely new life.